I was not sure what I wanted to do. Kept fighting with myself. I'm like, I'm not going to the military. And then it wasn't until a recruiter, probably like the third or fourth attempt, that my mom and my grandfather got one, blindsided me with a surprise meeting. He was like, listen, you like to party, right? I was like, oh yeah. I mean, clearly my mom's been talking to you. He's like, listen, let's party around the world.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Hand Forged. We're here today with Greg Getchell with Getchell Property Management.
Yes,
That's
sir.
What it's called. Greg and I have known each other, since what, middle school-ish?
Jesus, middle school.
Yeah, so I've known each other since middle school. I found out, or I heard a while back, that Greg was actually kind of doing some stuff to raise some money to help rebuild a skate park in my hometown, or our hometown, Salem, New Hampshire. Followed the story a little bit. Always thought it was pretty cool. And then Greg had actually reached out, asked to come on, kind of talk a little bit about business, talk about a little bit his time in the military and that transition coming into the civilian world, and then talk a little bit about the skate park. So that's what we'll be talking about today. I am your guest, Frank LeBlanc. I started the podcast about a year ago with John over here. We kind of came up with the idea that, I wanted to kind of bring some light and some, focus and some integrity and some pride back into the trades. Trades saved my life about 25 years ago. I got into, a little bit of trouble. I had to get a job or I was going to get locked up. A couple trades guys took me under their wing, introduced me to the trades. And if it didn't happen, I'd probably be dead. So the podcast is a way for me to kind of give back to that, bring some light back to this, talk a little bit about the trades, bring some people in that have done some stuff in the trades, and, just try and bring some integrity back to this. College is not the only way to be successful, and I think trades is a good backroad way to be able to do that and be successful. So,
100%.
So thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate you.
Absolute.
Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and kind of where you started at and kind of where you're at?
Yeah, so me and my brother had decided to open up Getchell Property Management 2016 when we roughly started out. I was just getting out of the Navy, and he was just leaving a company that he was working for, and we decided that, hell, it'd be a good thing to start our own little gig, and we started out with whatever we could do. We were gearing towards signs, but in the beginning, obviously, you're not hopping right into a 5-day-a-week kind of gig. So we were doing some landscaping, tree removal, signage, a little bit of everything, snow plowing. But as time passed on, we really picked up with the signage, and that kind of took over. And, coming out of the military is always a tough transition, but it was a good setup that we had. And, starting with a family member as well was always like a huge plus as well, because you know each other so well, and more time together, especially when you've been away. So that was like a big excitement for me, like getting in with him.
That can go both ways though, can it?
It can, from what I hear, it can be tough. But we've done very well together, and we work super good, like with each other, which is nice because Brennan's been so hands-on. He's been doing this for 7 years before I had started. So he was already geared into like knowing all about the signage from the get-go. And like I've always been really good with sales and like talking to people on that side of things. So it's really like a 1-2 combo, and it's been like really well for us.
That's awesome. So what are you guys, 50-50?
Yes.
Nice. And just a partnership?
Yep, partnership. Yeah, we've been kind of geared towards trying to, like, when we first started out, right? One of the things that's really tough for people is like, you want to start a business and everything, and not knowing from the get-go what to do. Like another big one is like, knowing about taxes and stuff. Like there's so many things that I feel like we're not geared towards, not us personally, but like, individuals that when they're starting out, things that they don't know.
For sure.
That I feel like, should be taught to us way sooner.
Yeah.
Taxes alone, I don't even understand why that's not taught in high school.
Yeah.
I mean, it's wild.
Taxes, accounting, money management.
Yeah.
All of that type of stuff.
It's all this helpful stuff that like, when you're getting into it, unless you know the right people starting out and like learning as you go, it's really tough to get going in the beginning like that.
Yeah. I mean, schools were started to fucking put people in factories. You know what I mean? And that's the problem with the education system. And I can go on a tangent about this, but it was made to build factory workers, people that were just going to come in, punch a clock, and do their job 40 hours a week and go home. You know, it's not geared towards people that want to be entrepreneurs or people that want to have their own businesses. It's, there's just no education or any kind of format or guidance around that in schools, and there should be, man, because like I had this conversation a couple of times where like I was never a stupid kid, right? I was always intelligent.
Oh, yeah.
You know, my problem was a little bit of a hothead, and I didn't give a fuck. I didn't fucking care.
Yeah.
I didn't care what you were trying to teach me. I didn't care that like you wanted me to stay in school. I didn't fucking care. You know what I wanted to do? I wanted to make money.
Yep.
I wanted to make money and cause trouble. That's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I didn't do any schoolwork. I mean, I didn't spend a lot of time in high school. I got thrown out sophomore year, but the time I was there, dude, I didn't do any work until progress reports would come out. I'd be failing everything, zeros and everything. And I would just go to my teacher and say, what do I got to do to pass? And they would give me stuff to do. I'd get it all done. And that was it, you know? And you know, the only reason I did it was to keep my fucking probation officer off my ass.
Yeah.
You know, and but if you would have taken me and stuck me in a class and said, all right, what are you doing right now to make money? You know, even if it was illegal, right?
Yeah.
Okay, how can we take that, make it a legal gig, and let me show you how to do that. Let me show you how to pay your taxes. Let me show you how to do your accounting. Let me show you how to do payroll, hiring, marketing, advertising. If you could have spun that on, like I would have fucking excelled, and I would have blew everybody out of the water.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
And I mean, that's like just the way you explain that is so simple to do.
Yeah.
But they're so bent on the structure, which, you know, not saying all structure is bad, but like the way like you have to reach out to some of the kids of the generation of where they're at in the school system, that's a real helpful tool.
Yep.
And it's
Yeah,
an
for
easy
sure.
fix.
Right. Yeah, but yeah, it's an easy fix, I guess, for us to say. But,
Yeah, true.
you know, trying to get through all that red tape, it's just, you know, this is the way we do it. This is the way we've been doing it. And clearly it's not fucking working anymore.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think there's hope, though, because like some of these alternative schools, like I do some work with a charter school in Derry and a couple other charter schools. The charter schools are cool. It's, you know, set up a little bit differently. You still have to do certain things, but like, you know, they're teaching the kids more about life skills and stuff that they need to know in order to go into the field that they want to go in.
Yeah.
Like the next charter school up in Derry, they do a capstone program. So like their senior year of high school, they do 400 hours in an industry that they're interested in pursuing after high school.
Oh, all right.
You know, so you go out as like, and you can do whatever you want. You just have to find the right person to take you in as like an apprentice.
Yeah.
You know, so I hosted a couple of kids when I had the wood shop open to come in and do hours through the wood shop, you know, and it was cool because like they get to go out, see some real life stuff, do some real work, get yelled at by me, you know, and learn what it's like to work for an asshole.
And
you
then
know?
like talk to someone who's like been through it and like
Right.
great advice to give going forward.
Right. Yeah. And then, you know, those kids get into the trades and, you know, right there, it's just like, it's, you know, I feel like there's so much more value in that. And it's not for everybody. You know, like my oldest son is very smart and intelligent and it does well in school. Like school is for him. He wants to get a college degree. Like that's great.
Yeah.
You know, but to take that one fucking thing, that one structure and say, this is for everybody is just not the right way to do it.
Yeah.
You know? So, but yeah, my tangent about schools. So talk to me a little bit about, so you graduated high school
I did.
and then you went into the military straight from there?
I did. No, well, not right away. So I also, towards the end, you know, I struggled too. I was battling, like with, you know, blaming myself for my dad's accident, and that kind of weighed heavy on me. So I was struggling with school. I was at the point too where I was like more about like hanging out with friends, like where I was feeling good, like not thinking about, you know, things that were bothering me. And I barely made it through. I mean, I graduated with my regular diploma, but they made me walk with the night class, the night school class.
Gotcha.
Which I didn't understand. I felt like it was more of a punishment kind of deal.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. I got over it. It was a bummer because I couldn't walk with the class, you know, and things like that. But it was good that I at least still graduated, and took me 3 years to finally get into the military. I was not sure what I wanted to do, kept fighting with myself. I'm like, I'm not going to the military. And then it wasn't until a recruiter, probably like the third or fourth attempt, that my mom and my grandfather got one, you know, blindsided me with a surprise meeting. He was like, listen, you know, you like to party, right? I was like, oh, yeah. I mean, I'm sure, clearly my mom's been talking to you. He's like, listen, he's like, let's party around the world. He's like, join the Navy. He's like, become a culinary specialist, right? He's like, the Navy will give you, in 4 years, enough money to open up your own restaurant and bar. I'm like, wow, wait a second.
Interesting.
4 years, I just got to be a cook and they'll give me the money to open up my own bar restaurant. He's like, yep. I'm like, no, let's do it. Send it. Easy enough,
that's
right?
That's a great
He's
recruiter.
like, yeah, you can party around the world. You end up in all these places, Brazil, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right, whatever, let's do it. Clearly, that was a bold-faced lie. If I ever still saw that fucking recruiter, get stuck as a cook. And it was, it was tough at first to swallow that pill. But if you ask me now, 8 years after I joined the military, I wouldn't have changed a thing because, again, I feel like I'm really good with like sales and I worked my way up really well and I had a blast with it. I saw a lot of cool things. The Navy itself kind of, let me down with things that I wanted to try out for. I would have loved to go to SEAL school. I don't know if I would have made it, but I would have loved to try. We're short staffed right now. We'll send you, when we get another guy in the command, another guy comes, another excuse from them. Listen, we're just really short staffed. Next duty command, you'll be fine. Sign up for 4 more years, do shore duty. You'll have plenty of time for that and for college. Another bull-faced lie. They convinced me. I re-enlisted another 4 years. And, that really put a bad taste in my mouth. Again, I wouldn't change anything for the world because I met a lot of great people. I had a blast. But it was still kind of a bummer because those are some of the things I would have really loved to try.
Yeah.
And, I tell people that I know that are going in now, like family members or anything, I'm like, it's nice for you because you can go in and you know somebody to where they can steer you in the right direction, not like the recruiter did for me. Mm-hmm. And, there's a lot of great benefits that do come out of the military and you can't pass it up. So I got my cousin to go in and, he loved it. And again, I wouldn't change anything, but there was some things that were really tough and then like the getting out process. And funny story, I only joined because, I was trying to make my dad proud and like help out with him from his accident. And
can I ask what happened with your pops?
Yeah. So in 98, my dad was at a construction site, and let me rewind for a second to make you help understand why the struggle was about. I was on at the time one of the computer games back in the day, Duke Nukem. I'm sure you played a little bit.
Love Duke Nukem.
That was a great game. I got a call from a guy, I'm on there, and he's like, hey, is your dad home? And I'm like, oh, no, he's not home right now. He's like, oh, can you just leave him a message? Yeah, I'll let him know. He leaves me his name, number. I didn't write it down. I'm like, I'll let him know. Maybe he'll call back. It's on caller ID at the time. And I forgot, obviously. And then 2 days later, my dad came in and he was like, hey, did so-and-so call? And I was like, oh, yeah, I forgot to tell you. He's like, oh, man. He's like, oh, that would have been like, more Christmas presents under the tree for you. It was like side work. And I was like, I won't forget next time. 3 days later, he gets another call for side work, takes it. And at that job site, there's a collapse of his scaffolding and him and his brother were on it, collapses. But because the board came loose, it knocked my dad unconscious. So my uncle, his brother, was able to jump off at the first floor, but my dad hit the concrete stairs. But because he was unconscious, he buckled and cracked his skull open.
Damn, man.
He's very lucky. He almost died there. He died like 3 times before he got to the hospital. Had to be airlifted to Mass General. I'm very big on like everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
I'm very big on that. But it's a lot tougher, 1, at that age, and then 2, when it's that close of like things happening in that sequence. Him saying, oh, I was going to take that job, would have just been more Christmas presents under the tree. He's only thinking about us.
Yeah, right.
So that was really hard.
Yeah, it's tough.
And then so, my whole time was like spent trying to remake him proud. He had to learn everything over. He didn't know what a spoon was. He didn't know our names at first. He had part of his skull. Usually if you have like a subdural hematoma, right? If it's like not as bad, they have to drill a hole in your head to like relieve pressure. They had to cut the whole front of the skull out.
Holy shit.
Leave it open for a while. He had to wear a hockey helmet for like probably months, probably like 8 months to a year, I think. He was wearing that hockey helmet. Lost his smell, his taste, short-term memory loss, got diabetes from it. It was awful.
Damn.
So I felt so bad, and it's tough like seeing that, like that whole recovery process and like things you're going through. And then obviously again, in the back of your head, you're beating yourself up so hard on that.
The what ifs, man.
Yep. So I joined that, trying to like, make him proud in a sense. And then coming back, it was an easier decision to get out after the 8 years because, they're like, oh, you want to re-enlist again? I was like, absolutely not. All the lies you guys have been telling
Yeah.
me. Where's my fucking restaurant?
Yeah, right.
Like, what the
Right.
hell? So it was definitely easier for me to come back at that point to like help take care of him. And then problem is that we're there and I'm helping take care of him. It's hard for him to want to eat healthy. You know, he's a stubborn man and, you know, drinking Mountain Dews like crazy. I'm like, Dad, you're getting diabetic shots in your eyes. Like, you know, come on, like let's beat it together. Walking one day for like, I think it was Mother's Day coming up, ironically, which is around the corner. Don't forget to get your gifts.
Yeah, no shit.
And he seemed out of breath. He walked at the mall all the time and he was like out of breath, like easily. I'm like, Dad, I think we should, you know, get checked out. Like, you know, just check on the old ticker. He went and did a stress test. They found out that he had like 2 completely blocked arteries, one like 65%, goes in for surgery. They ended up doing the one that was 75%. I think they cleared as well. So it was 3, but his carotid artery was really bad too. So they cleared that as well. And then like 5 days, after 5 days in the hospital, they're trying to, you know, discharge him. They hand me this book about all the ways he's supposed to like roll over on his side and like push himself up, you know, roll over. And I'm like, this man has short-term memory loss. You know, we can't just let him go now.
Right.
They're like, well, you said that you're living there, right? And I'm like, yeah, but he's got diabetes too. Like he gets up 100 times to go to the bathroom.
Right.
And they're like, no, he'll be fine. I'm like, I want someone's signature saying that he's going to be fine, that he's okay to leave the hospital in this condition with everything I said. And so they end up, you know, talking to a doctor. The doctor comes into me and everything. And I'm still like just at a loss. I don't know what to do to keep him in there. And they're telling me that he's fine, that he's okay to go. I set up a camera in the house, one of my Arlo security cameras, just to watch him when I'd go to work to make sure he was doing exactly what I said. 3 to 6 days, I can't remember. It's been a little bit now. After the time home, he got up to go to the bathroom, kicked his legs up like he always does, literally dropped dead, bled to death. So now I'm fighting myself even harder because, again, it's all in like this close sequence. I should have fought harder to keep him in there. I should have found an alternative method. I told them, I begged them. And
why do you think they wanted to push him out?
I think that they tried to say that it was okay for like his, you know, recovery process as long as he was doing the things that he needed to do. I don't think they understood the severity of his short-term memory loss and then diabetes and having to go to the bathroom. I don't understand.
Did they know that he had that accident?
Yeah, I told them.
That's fucking insane.
I probably watched that tape 200 and something times over and over. I made myself sick.
I bet.
And, you know, that's the type of things that I'm talking about. Like, you know, you're dealing with these things that like are so hard. I mean, I didn't even tell, you know, family members how bad it was, you know, like I was just so mad because, you know, you're already angry from like, you're blaming yourself for the reason it happened. Then now you're trying to help him again. He's out of breath. Yeah, luckily we found out that he had clogged arteries and everything, and then that happens. It's like,
yeah. Damn, man, I didn't know all that. That's fucking
not
insane.
many people do. I don't tell that story. Not even some of my closest friends, like, you know, how deep the blame game was and like how hard it was to like really overcome that. I mean, that really consumed me. And on top of it, at the time, I was in like one of the worst relationships of my life. And it was just the most deepest struggle like I had personally ever been through.
Yeah.
But I'm big on always helping people. And, you know, I hit it because I was still trying to help people. I was always the ears open kind of thing. But that tends to be a problem. And that's one that people can't do as much.
How long after you left the military did he end up passing?
So I got out in 2014, and I believe his was 2016 or 17, roughly around there.
Right. So you're 2 years in, because the other side of this is like, obviously you're home to help your dad, but you're also trying to transfer and change from military mindset to civilian life.
Yeah.
What were you doing for work for those couple of years?
So I had started off, well, the other big part was probably I got out in February of 2014, and then in June of 2014, I had a big accident where I had gotten snuck attacked by a bouncer
Yeah, I remember that.
for a birthday party that I was attending for a friend. And that was real bad. I mean, I missed only 2 steps and went down and hit my head on cobblestone, and it put me out. And I had such a bad subdural hematoma that they had to drill a hole. I almost didn't make it, I think, the first 2 nights they were saying. And then, I lost my smell. So I was having to recover in almost ironically the same type of injury, a head injury like my dad's. And I'm trying to recover myself. I was out of work for 8 months with that. And so the tough part, and, especially with transitioning, especially getting out, you've been gone for 8 years. So obviously you want to come out and party and like spend time with the family and the boys, having a blast. And, that's a prime example too of like, how if I had gotten out and I had a structured system where I knew what I wanted to do and like figure out how easy it was to like transition, like a better process, all that may not have gone that route. And it is what it is. Like I said, everything does happen for a reason, but I was able to get out of it. I was still trying to help him at the same time. And then, that was a lot. It was a lot going on.
Your poor mom.
Oh, I know.
Like, I can just imagine.
Oh, she'd been through hell.
Yeah, I bet, man. So, Jesus. So what happened with that bar thing? I know that, there's bits and pieces I've heard, but like, dude just sucker punched you, right?
Yeah. So there was a girl that was, the bouncer was kind of just down talking. He had a problem. He had a problem with us like the whole night. Like just was in a bad mood. You could tell like the minute one of my friends was there, he knew the owner, they were letting us in. He's like, hey, why are you coming in here, this door? And I was like, they just let us in. He said, the owner knows that we're here. So he's bitter about that from the get-go. Then, I'm out. We had a little table at the side of the DJ booth. And I always like to tell the DJs if they're doing good, always promoting somebody. And I'm like, dude, you're killing it with the music. I just want to dap you up, take a picture, post your name up and everything. Bouncer comes right back up to the table. He's like, dude, what are you doing up here? And I'm like, bro, what is your problem? I'm just trying to tell the guys get playing good music and, putting his page up on the internet. Stumbles away. And then it wasn't until he was like downgrading the girl at the end of the night. And I'm like, dude, I don't know what your problem is, but like, you need to relax. Like, this is just ridiculous. And, we're exchanging the fuck yous on the way out the door. The bouncer hears it outside. He's asking us like, he asked me what happened. I'm telling him the same story I'm telling you. Next thing I know, I hear the little bell at the door, and he come running out, take a swing, back up, go to miss, but I missed the top step, go back and hit the head.
Oh, so he didn't even connect.
Nope.
Oh,
and that's the craziest thing too, is just the fact of, my doctor actually told me, he's like, you never know what the head injury is. He's like, it's really tough. He's like, you could be walking, trip on your own 2 feet, go to like brace your fall and miss, and your arm be down, and then hit your head, and that's it.
Right.
He's like, doesn't matter, 2 steps, 17 steps. Look at my dad's. Like, I for sure thought he'd be, dead after a hit like that, unconscious, going down 2 stories.
Damn, man, that's fucking crazy. That's like a short amount of time for a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Damn, man. I didn't think this was going that way.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I mean,
threw me way off, man.
That's like the type of things that, we talk about, like the internal struggle of like trying to start something out, especially when you're going through so much. I had so much blame for everything that I was doing, that I had done before. And then, then that happens. And I'm like, man, like, I'm like, what am I doing wrong that's like making like these things happen,
Yeah.
And it's nothing like out of the usual ordinary of anybody doing anything, but it's just when things happen so closely and everything, it's just really tough to get through that stage.
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, I was only, I only probably joined. I still didn't know what I wanted to do at the time. And I only joined, like I said, just trying to make him proud.
Yeah.
So that was a tough one.
All right, man. So talk to me about fucking transition and recovery from all of that. So father passes away, like you're just fresh out of kind of your own injury. Obviously family must be a mess. Your mother must be a mess. Talk to me about kind of how the fuck you're here now.
Got through that, yeah. I think the tough part for a lot of people in the military, right? You got this structured system that like you're forced to. I mean, it's a tight rig, and it's great because it does give you that hard work mentality. And I did need it at the time. The other tough part was I was in 8th grade going into 9th grade when my dad's accident happened. He was basically like relearning stuff from like the level of baby like spoon, fork, what I said earlier. So I never had that man-to-man kind of combos. I was the oldest of 3 kids. And, that was a tough part too. Like I was like really good with like talking and like, I had a lot of great friends, but like I didn't get to, I didn't know anything about the working out thing or like a strong drive. My mom, 100% the most amazing woman in the world. She's 100% Italian. She was very caring. So like I got my like good manners and like stuff like that from her, but like I needed a man, for that type of stuff. It was hard for me. Like I tried to get into sports. I tried to get into football. And it was tough in the beginning for me, again, because like I didn't know anything about working hard or working out, stuff like that. I had to learn that all on my own. It was a tough transition starting out. It was nice for my 2 brothers because, the older brother, you're always wrestling at home and giving the manhandle type of stuff.
Right.
But getting that from the beginning was, a really tough one not to have. So on top of that, with the transition, now you're getting out and you spent that much time away from friends. But the tough part for everybody that's in is because you're so used to that structure, you finally now have this little bit of freedom.
Right.
And you have that hard working mentality when you want to put your mind to it. But they don't tell you how easily you can get miscued from it. I didn't have one person tell me that it was going to be a hard transition. You hear about transitioning when you get out from like stories from other people, but no one's prepping you like they should be from within. And that's a tough thing to see, like they're just like, there's so much paperwork and process and like signing this, signing that. You got to do this for like your disabilities and like things of all that nature. But they don't talk about how if you can't get your mind right from the beginning to be prepared, you want to see your family. It's going to be tough. You're not going to want to be working right away because you got, money, this, that, and the other thing. But like you need to prep them to really keep their head straight because it is tough. Like think about, you're thinking all that time you missed.
Yeah.
You want to hang out with everybody, see everybody. The only thing in the beginning that we had was MySpace at the time, rest in peace. And then, Facebook comes along, but that's really it.
Yeah.
So it's the biggest part is like really being able to know that, you're going to want some time with family and friends, but maintain the focus of like, getting something to keep you busy work-wise.
Right. Well, I mean, if you look at the suicide rates for active military and people that leave the military, like it's crazy high and it's just climbing. You would think that they would figure that out by now. Like, not that you're going to save everybody's life, right? But like help these guys with the transition, and have some kind of program or something, because you can't just go from like, running and gunning with the structure and all this stuff to just civilian. And then now what do I do? You know, like that's not easy for fucking anyone, especially guys who have, seen some of the shit that they've seen. Like you can't just put them at home and be like, hey, here's your check. Like, good luck.
That's exactly it. It's kind of shocking to me because it's like you said, like, that there's a big problem and it is a big problem.
Oh, yeah,
and it doesn't matter, what they did, their branch of service. It goes amongst so many things because it's like an umbrella effect, right? Things you've seen, structure that you're used to, just getting out and like having like some type of system geared up, but you don't really see like any type of solution going forward. You don't hear like the attempts at anything. I think it's hard because they offer counseling, right? Here's a prime example is they'll offer like counseling at the VA. For instance, I live in Salem. Manchester Veterans Hospital is mine, 30 minutes away. There's not stuff on the weekends. Well, I have to keep my mind busy by like working Monday through Friday.
Right.
I have to stay busy. By the time you get out of work, which is like normal working hours, the fucking VA is closed.
Right.
So what do you do? Why are we not talking about, again, what could be an easy solution? Maybe something that's open after hours that's obviously like they can't just put money towards like a therapy building or something like that, but like you can do multitudes of things, almost like not a full hospital, but like something where people could go to after hours.
Programming. Just like a fucking program. You know what I mean?
Something where they
like,
could talk.
Something like AA.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like AA saved a lot of fucking people.
Yeah.
Something like that would help. I mean, anything, I guess, would fucking help.
I can't tell you how many people I've lost with suicide. And like, that's another thing in itself, not only the people that were in the military, but people that haven't been in the military that are struggling with the addiction.
Yeah.
numerous amounts of my friends, you think that there's something wrong with the water in Salem, like suicide, like, have an addiction, can't kick it. I mean, one of my good friends, I still can't get over, you play the same thing. I'm out with him 2 weeks before. He's showing me a wedding ring he has designed for his fiance. Has a dog that they just picked out, a little puppy. He's like, yeah, she's picking it up in like a week. 2 weeks later, shoots himself.
Damn, man.
I'm like if you just said anything to me, I would have been able to help you. Like I'm great with like listening.
Yeah.
But you can't make someone, talk. Doesn't matter how close you are. I mean, this is a kid since childhood.
Right.
And that's the scary thing about it. No one knows an internal struggle, but there has to be something that we can do where someone, because maybe it was like an embarrassment of like admitting something to a friend.
Yeah.
But like the best part about a therapist, like when you really deep down think about it, you can tell them fucking everything in the world and they don't have to, they're not going to tell a soul.
Right.
But they've heard so many of these stories that maybe they can give you some advice of how some other people got out.
Right.
And it's not so bad.
Right.
And not any of your family or friends need to know.
Right. Yeah. I mean, therapy is huge, man. I feel like, when I was younger, I had a therapist. I had to, it was court appointed, but, Hans, dude, he was fucking cool as shit. Like and I wasn't a big talker. Like I didn't want to fucking talk to him. I just again, trying to keep my probation officer off my back. Like, but I go and have my sessions and stuff. But, thinking back on it now, when I really started kind of deep diving into myself and trying to fucking better myself, realize that like having those conversations with him was huge, man. Like talking to him about stuff, like I got a lot of stuff buried. I'm not a big talker.
That's what I was going to ask you too. I was going to say, for your situation, which is another good example, you were forced to go, but I was going to say, did you enjoy it while you were there?
No, I fucking hated every second of it while I was there. Yeah, no, I didn't like it at all.
Yeah.
But again, looking back on it, like and thinking about it, it's like, damn, that definitely fucking helped.
Yeah.
And maybe I did like it. I was just fucking being hard ass and like, this is fucking stupid,
Because it was almost attached, like you had to be there kind of thing.
Right. And like, I didn't want to fucking talk. Like I didn't believe in it. You know what I mean? It was one of those things. Like I thought it was just stupid. Like what's talking about my feelings going to do? But the fact is, it fucking does a lot.
Yep.
And being a teenager, fucking, you just think that you fucking know everything and you think you're smarter than everyone. And, I'm glad that they did it. I'm glad I did it. I mean, who knows how much it helped, but I know that it did help in having those conversations, and at least getting some of that stuff out there.
I mean, I think it definitely did because, I mean, everything aside, like your story truly is, like a really inspiring thing. And like everything you're doing and that you've done, like, with your kids and like how much you've been there and like the business and like what you really overcame from like people that don't really know you. Like, I mean, you really, really turned it around like full throttle. Like you kicked its ass.
Yeah.
And it's like more people should know that story. Like, I hope a lot more people do get to know you and your background story because everything you're doing is phenomenal. Even the gear towards this podcast and like everything you're pushing for businesses and the local businesses and, starting out, like it's just phenomenal.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Yeah. I think there's a lot of things that happened that, have their place and kind of why I made that change.
Yeah.
And I think that, it's a lot of little stuff, man. Shavings make a pile, right? Like a lot of little things. And I think that, the therapy side of things, I think that helped. And I think therapy for anybody could help. Even like, it doesn't have to be anything fucking crazy. Everybody has their skeletons.
Yeah.
Everybody has their baggage and the shit hidden in the closet, whether it's crazy or it's not that bad compared to other people. Like everybody has that.
Yeah.
And like bringing those things to light is so damn powerful. You
Yeah.
know?
Was that a woodworking quote, by the way? Shavings make a pile.
I mean, no pun intended.
It's funny too. Is I'm always trying to like find other ways too. I never personally had like a drug addiction problem like that, but like knowing like friends of mine that like through school and everything and like military friends, and I'm always trying to find like something I could do to help. Like I mean, I felt like seeing someone like someone famous, right? For instance, I reached out to Brandon Novak. I tried to reach out on his page. I was writing everywhere I could, trying to get him. I'm like, I'll pay some of my own money if I need to. Like I really think that this area alone, like if you guys reach out to me, the stories that you'll hear about the people that are struggling and like could really use that. You have some people that'll talk that like, that most people don't know, right? And they're like, everyone plays well, I mean, how true is this story? Did the school just get him? Like, is it really real? But when you have someone that everyone knows and like someone like that comes out, I feel like his story's fucking inspiring to me. And, I wasn't down that road, but it was like inspiring. Steve-O, another prime example. Like, these are people that people know, and they would go out to see that.
Yeah.
And, I hoped that his team would reach out, but, that was a big wish. So
yeah, it's tough.
I'll still keep trying.
Yeah. I mean, you never know. That's the thing is like those people get so many messages and fucking,
I know, it's probably flooded.
Like flooded, Like I think it's crazy, and hopefully that I hope that people like that try to reach the biggest audience that they can reach with that stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, maybe doing something small like that isn't really something that they want to do, but it's because they want to reach like a bigger audience to get it out as much as they can or something,
Yeah.
I try to be optimistic.
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen any of his stuff, but it's pretty inspiring.
I've heard
what he's
of him,
got
yeah.
to.
I'll have to look into it a little bit. I mean, I know Steve-O's, but
yeah.
but yeah, I mean, those stories, I love those stories, man. Everybody loves the underdog stories.
For real. I mean, it's stuff that as you were younger, you didn't really get into as much, but like as you're older and you look back, you're like, man, it's really good shit. He's really killing it. He's really helping people right now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's important. So let's transition a little bit into the skate park then.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the one that's over by Hedgehog, right?
Yes.
So yeah, tell me a little bit about that. Kind of what the hell happened, how you got involved, and what's going on now?
Yeah, so with the skate park, like I had said earlier, it started out with that picture from Eric, and it really blew up. A lot of people wanted to, the news somehow found out. I got news crews calling me, and they want to get on board with it and, put me on the news and like just explain the background of the story. And as I was on the news a couple of times, I had the parents of Leanne Milius and, oh my God, the names. Christina Milian, no.
I know Leanne. I don't remember.
Leanne Milius.
Get the other girl's name.
Yeah, my mind's drawing a blank right now. But their parents reached out to me, and they really liked the motion behind the movement. So I started working with them because I met them, really nice people, and they had been through hell in that whole area, basically remind them of a bad memory. So they thought bringing some good light to this was like a good idea. And, even like the background, I don't rollerblade, I don't skateboard, but I figured with people who have nothing to really like, Tuscan's a great thing going on, but like a place for like people that are struggling with addiction that they can go work out, stay busy, have fun. I was like, now skateboarding, I think it was last year was the first year it was brought into the Olympics.
Right.
Now we also have a place for the kids to go, no matter what we do in school, no matter what you are teaching about bullying, still going to happen.
Yep.
And it's a tough one. Another one that a lot of people struggle with like another suicide rate of that situation alone.
Right.
But now these kids have individual sport that they can go to and mess around and like have a goal to chase.
Yep.
And it was a great, idea of the whole situation. So it was a no-brainer to me. And currently right now, it was taking too long for them to like not do anything there. There was another notion going on that they were already trying to redo that to make it a nicer spot. So right now they tore out the old skate park and they put a basketball court in there. So now I'm having to relocate, which is the process that we're kind of in right now, finding a new spot in Salem and going from there. There's another spot at Hedgehog, but I'm going over some options. And I actually got to start out with a new team as well, just to get like a team behind me because I can't do it all alone. I started this out and I thought it was going to be something nice, easy, and quick. Man, did I learn a lot. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll just message out to, the Tony Hawk Foundation. They'll give some money. Then you learn, no, Tony Hawk only donates to full concrete parks. Well, full concrete parks start out at $500,000 minimum.
Right.
I'm like, oh my God, what did I sign up for? Then I got people messaging me. They're like, oh, I saw you on the news. Salem needs a a dog park. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm working on the skate park right now. I'm like,
right.
I don't know anything about that.
I'm not the fucking mayor.
Then I got more messages coming in. Salem needs a boat launch. They took our boat launch. And I'm like, wait a second. I'm like, okay, I'm getting flooded with all these emails. You need to run for, some type of form in Salem. I'm like, guys, I barely have time for myself.
Right.
I'm like, I'm just working. This is like a new thing to me and I'm learning about all this, but chaotic.
So how long has the process been going on? So the skate park that was there, what, got shut down?
So it was in such bad shape. When I talked to Eric that day, it was in such bad shape that the fire marshal had shut it down, like that people couldn't be there.
Because it wasn't safe.
But people were still going in under the chains, and they knew that people were going to get in no matter what.
Yeah.
And I was saying that at first I was thinking that we'll just fix it up and go from there. Then you start to learn about, the town's not going to allow that unless you use a professional company, because now the insurance has got to be involved.
Yeah.
So now I'm having to look for a professional skate park building company, find one out of like Montana, willing to come out, all this and that. But again, the prices, skyrocket. You can't just jump right into it.
Right.
A lot of the time, while the time was ongoing, people are like, hey, what's going on? Like, we haven't done anything in the park. I'm like, I'm not just going to tear the park down and put like a concrete pad and then wait till we get some more money. Like, I have to get it all.
Right.
And I'm still reaching out to 1 million people. I'm like thinking Pepsi will donate. They only donate to certain things.
So did you start like a 501c3 around it, or do you have an organization, or what's that look like?
So the cool thing with that was I didn't need to start a 501c3 because the group that was already trying to rebuild that whole hedgehog in general, they had one. It was called Friends of Salem, New Hampshire Recreation. And we kind of got on board together. So right now they have like the money held that we have raised so far in a bank account just for the skate park. So again, that's at like 30,000. The tough part is like trying to get the time, like hold these fundraisers. Most of the parks around the area that I've seen all have like a big like not a fundraiser, like a big donator, like either their kid skateboards or like, someone from each town has made a big contribution.
Yeah.
So I was hoping that would kind of come in right away, but it didn't. And, that was a tough pill to swallow at first too, because again, I'm trying to do so much, but I'm also trying to run a business with my brother.
Right.
I just got into like the best relationship of my life, and she had 2 kids. And so like now I'm getting to finally enjoy like the dad side of things. So, I know that it's so tough on people because they keep saying like, hey, what's going on? What's going on? I'm like, we're trying, like, we're going to get back into it. Now I'm having to start that team that I was talking about because, again, no way I can do it on my own.
Right.
Especially with no big donor.
With that organization that you have, they must have a board of directors. And do they have a board? Do they have volunteers and stuff? Yeah,
so they got a team, I would say, from like 7 to 9. But the thing of it is that they have multitudes of things that they are managing and doing as well. Like one of them runs the, not the Salem Boys and Girls Club, the Field of Dreams.
Oh, okay.
So they have so many other things going on. And what I learned quickly was that I needed a team for just the skate park.
For just that, yeah.
So that's why I'm starting to like rebuild a new team. And I'm actually going to be talking with Jim Keenan. I don't know if you remember Jim.
I do.
Yeah.
I seen him not too long ago at a networking event. He was actually there.
Really phenomenal.
I love that dude.
Really phenomenal guy.
Yeah.
And, he's really he's been doing these fundraisers and stuff for a long time with the Boys and Girls Club. That's what I kind of need, because I can't, if I was to learn it all on my own and go, I'll get it done, but nowhere near what I wanted to get it done in.
Right.
And ultimately, like, we're still losing people to what we talked about left and right.
Right.
And I mean left and right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that Jim would be a great guy to talk to, just because he's been in the nonprofit world and fundraising, and he knows a ton of people. A lot of people know him. I think he'd be just a good guy. Have you talked to him?
I did. So we talked. We're actually going to meet up, and we're going to try to start like a team and go over some things. And like, I'm going to have to start my own 501c3.
Yeah.
Get the money moved into, our own personal account. And then we can start gearing towards, I got to start getting some more fundraisers going and stuff like that. And I'm going to see if there's any other avenues. Jim knows a lot. And the town actually did say there's a process that if you get the town to approve it, which I'm pretty sure they will, that they like match a certain amount. And that would be huge too. But really, I think there's plenty of big name sponsors that could, easily get in there. The other thing is that because it was geared through the professional skate park building company, you can get vinyl with people's business names on the ramps and stuff.
Right.
Like, they're going to see their names nonstop, but you need lighting. Like, I want to have competitions there. I want it to be built around. The other reason it took so long was because I didn't want to put the Band-Aid on the park or even just redo it at that size. I wanted it like an Olympic size, I was going to say court, but like Olympic size park.
Yeah.
And because that way it could be geared towards kids really having like the better equipment to like really get used to it and get like those, the better options of like really trying to get into the chase the Olympic dream.
So the Olympics, right? So how do people get into the Olympics as a skater? Because it's not like is there skate competitions?
The skate competitions now.
No shit.
And that's a great question. And I really don't know. And it's another like prime example as to why, like I don't skateboard and I don't really follow the skateboarding, but I know that was a big one that they brought it in. But I am curious by that. But I did figure that like maybe competitions and like people posting up videos of an actual, same size type of park, that maybe it brings like some notoriety and they go to maybe a hosting event of like some of the kids, the locals, to like go try out for.
Right. Well, that would be interesting to maybe try and get in touch with, Olympic coaches or whoever is whoever's involved with the skating part of the Olympics.
Yeah.
Let them know what you're trying to do and see who they know. Because you got to figure, like, if you could get like one of these Olympic skaters or one of these big funders for the Olympics or something like that to get involved, like there's your donator. You know? Or anybody that's like big in the town of Salem. Like if you think of Farrow, like Joe Farrow, the guy that did the Tuscan stuff, like I would wonder if he would want to be involved.
I tried to get into, sit down with a meeting with him just to explain like the whole background. And I really just wanted to sit down with him to just try to, pick his brain, like business wise of like, things that maybe I could get in touch with or do things like a certain way. But it's been impossible for me to get in with him.
Yeah, it's a tough guy to get in touch with.
And I know he's super busy too. And I just try to tell people, I'm like, hopefully he catches on to the story and I can at least sit down and, like I said, pick his brain and like, just get geared towards like the right type of people that I need to talk to.
Yeah.
Like the right route to go.
Right.
But that's a good one, like you said, with the Olympic thing. I didn't even think about that because it is another type of sponsor idea.
Right.
And there's a great story behind it. Again, it's not like I'm trying to skateboard in there.
Right.
I'll try to do a trick and get like a funny video for you guys for the blooper reel.
Right. Yeah, because it'd be cool if you could find somebody that was somewhat local, maybe from New England, that was involved in the Olympics and that part of things that like could at least put you in the right direction.
Yeah.
Because that would be sweet.
And I really want to keep it there too, because the big thing was like with, those parents reaching out to me, it was like, I was going to put a plaque there, like a nice little memorial and stuff. And that was going to be a good basis around it as well. And they've really helped out a lot too. Like the first fundraiser we did was through a lot of people that they knew. And, like a lot of the locals helped out in that fundraiser. And that's the tough part because, everyone's like, hey, so what's going on with the fundraiser? I mean, what's going on with the park? And, they're always reaching out to me and I'm like, I'm doing my best. Like, we're going to get it. I'm like, it's not as easy as we thought right off the rip, but it's going to come.
Yeah. I know a guy, we're actually working with him right now. I think he's somewhat retired, but, he does a lot of work. So he's a business coach, right? But a business coach for nonprofits specifically. It's all he works for. He's been doing it for like 40 years or something like that. His name's Bob. Good guy. I wonder if he would be interested in at least having a conversation with you. Because, there's got to be, a business plan around it. Like this is what the goal is, but these are the steps to get there.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about business coaches because like for me, I have two business coaches that I work with. Actually, I have a meeting with one right after this. I know what I want to do, right? And I do know how to get there.
Yeah.
But like my eye is always either on that last step in the goal succeeding or at my feet, So I've never I have a hard time breaking down the steps. So that's what I like about business coaches is that like, all right, this is what I want to do. This is how I kind of envision getting there. What do you think? And then they have strategic ways of just helping me to like break it down to like get to that goal.
And that's a great structure to have. Yeah.
Right. So that's pretty much what Bob does with nonprofits. So he'll come into an organization that's either starting up or isn't running well, has been around for a while and, needs some help. He comes in and just kind of builds a strategy around like the whole thing, whatever the goal is. I know that we actually pulled him out of retirement for our nonprofit. I don't know if he's still doing it, but he might know somebody. I'll reach out to him later on today and just kind of drop a bug in his ear and see what he thinks.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
But yeah, I mean, because that would be it, right? Because the thing is that if like this is what you want to do, right? You want to have this full park that's all lit up, that's beautiful, that is going to help some of these kids pursue that dream, right? And now you have an attainable goal because that dream can get you into the fucking Olympics. Like that, it's not just kids out there fucking spray painting and fucking flipping boards anymore. Like there's a goal here. Like these kids can do something with this. And like you said, like these kids need a fucking place to go. You know, not everybody's a basketball player. Not everybody's going to go and play fucking pickleball. Like some of these kids just want to fucking skate and they're good at it. You know, so if you give them a place to go, it keeps them off the fucking street, man. Like, you know, for me, thinking back to my youth, like the Boys and Girls Club, Jim Keenan in specific, I got thrown out of that place for life 100 times. But every time I walked back in the fucking door, they let me back in. You know, so it's like in every fucking minute that I spent playing basketball there or doing whatever was a minute I was off the fucking street. And like those minutes counted.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about right there. It's a prime example.
And if you can, you know, structure something around the skating and stuff and, you know, have something like that and then like have events there and like do that stuff, like that's a huge thing for the youth, especially in a place like Salem, New Hampshire.
That was the big thing that I was telling them too. Is like, you know, because you want to keep it as competitive as you can. One, if they go there and it's the right size and everything, they can, you know, get a lot of practice in. But then when you get a competition level, then you're inviting people from outside of town. You know, for events, like you can have local vendors there. Like the town can still make money. It's not like it's taking away from anything.
Right.
I remember they told me, they're like, you could go into the town meeting for the funds. I can't remember like the exact name of this, right? But where you can go into and like ask for money from like with the town's like extra money that they have that they give to certain things. And they warned me beforehand. They were like, listen, they're going to eat you up in there. They're really hard on people. They do not give out money. And I'm like, just give me a chance. Let me go in there. It was a great turnout. They actually loved it. The vote passed that they would give money towards the park. You know, it wasn't much to start out, but it was enough to get us the drawing of the plans and everything else. Yeah. And that was huge because I need those to go to the town for like the next meeting to get things approved and everything. But it's wild. Every time someone says that, like, you know, it's not like a thing that's like that attainable, I'm still proving them wrong. Like that meeting actually went way better than I thought. Like one of the guys that sits on the board, he's like, I used to skate park, you know, like I really felt like our town like needed something like this. Like I love what you're doing. One of the older women that was there, she's like, I drive by it all the time and like I just see it like closed off and it's like kind of like an eyesore now at this point. Like I think it's a great idea. And I was like, see? Yeah. It's not about, you know, obviously you get the things like they're worried about, oh, they're going to get people there. They're there late at night and they're behind the chains. And I'm like, well, let's make it an active thing. Then you have like the lights on at night, put up cameras if you're worried about that. Like it's not going to be as bad as you think. Right. And
well, the problem is it has a stigma.
Exactly.
You know, it has a stigma. And yeah, there's going to be some shitheads that are going to go there for sure.
Yeah.
Like, but
which are going everywhere anyway.
Right. The shitheads that go to fucking, you know, Field of Dreams. Like, you know, so it's
exactly.
Like, you know, it's going to happen no matter what it is. But, you know, there's ways that you can negate it. And like, you know, putting up the lights, putting in cameras, you know, making sure that it's patrolled often. Like that's stuff that you can do to just try and kind of limit it. You know?
The problem is too big to worry about things like that.
Right.
Kids in the high school, you know, committing suicide.
Yep.
People with addiction coming out, not finding something to be able to do. Like the problem is far too big. Right. To avoid things of worrying about spray paint.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I'm with you.
Put a camera up.
Put a camera up.
I don't want these fucking excuses. Like there's a serious issue and us not doing anything about it is showing how year after year it's the same conversation. Why hasn't there been a solution? Why can't we get this done? Like why are people still doing this? Because we're not giving as many attempts at avenues as we could be.
Right. Putting together the team, I think is key. Like putting together, even if you start the 501c3, starting a 501c3 is easy. Yeah. It's cheap money. It's not a lot of money. But in order to stay, you know, legal and to have, you know, to be a legit nonprofit, you have to have a certain amount of board members. But those board members are going to be on, you know, they're going to donate their time. They're just volunteers that are volunteering for a board of directors. So like nobody's making any money. So it's, you know, trying to find board members is always a difficult thing. But if you have a mission behind it that people believe in, like it's pretty easy. And I think it's a good sellable business.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it could be done. You need someone who knows how to do fundraising, someone who knows a lot of people, has put together events. That's key, because those fundraisers are kind of best way to make the money, get the money, and keep the money. But there's a lot that goes into there's a lot that's involved in organizing events, and I think a lot of people don't really know that.
Oh man, that was a learning curve. It's we're just gonna throw something in, they'll set it all up. No.
No. Yeah, insurances, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes into it. Finding the people, lining everybody up, having the volunteers. But yeah, finding somebody that can do that stuff. You need a secretary, someone that's going to manage money. And then so you need board chair, you need vice, you need secretary, and then you need there's one more too that you need. I think it's like 5 people that need to be on the board. But you can start a nonprofit without having the board of directors put together.
Yeah.
And then just find the people that are passionate about it, that want to be on the board, and then at least you have your team, right?
Yeah.
And then with the team and the nonprofit, then at least you're legit, and you can say, listen, we have this nonprofit. The nonprofit this is what our goal is. This is what we're trying to do. And then, you just figure out what the tasks are with building that kind of business plan to get to the end goal, and delegate those tasks to everybody that's on the board.
Absolutely.
But yeah, of course, time is always a thing.
Because there's so many great avenues. I mean, even like the local, I don't know if you call it full casino, but mini casino, like Chasers.
Yeah.
They do like the fundraising, like there's a list to get on there. But like, I went on with the team from Friends of Salem. They were on the list for a while. Mm-hmm. They caught wind of the story, who I talked to, and saw the whole background movement. And she was like, oh yeah, let's get you on there.
Yep.
And, they did a fundraiser for that, but like you can get on that more often. And then, there is a lot of avenues, but again, you need that big team to like really work towards it. Like with everything in life going on, like,
right.
Internal struggles, work, family, just the drive to like get more stuff done.
Yep.
You got to get to the gym to release anger. Like,
Yep.
There's just so
much stuff. I know. Yeah. I mean, but where there's a will, there's a way, man.
Absolutely.
And it's one of those things that, it's, you gotta figure out where you want to put your time,
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the hard part. For me, it's like, I have the business, I have the podcast, I'm board chair for a nonprofit. And sometimes, dude, doing stuff for the nonprofit is like, fuck, I got a board meeting today. Like, I make the time,
Yeah.
but I don't put as much time into it as I probably should and I would want to, but it's like, stuff is still getting done. It just takes a lot longer to get the stuff done. You know what I mean? And it's like anything else. Like, it's just consistency. Like, as long as you're consistent with it, this is the end goal. These are the steps to get there, and you're consistent. I think fucking do anything.
Yeah. Another good group that I had joined was the American Legion 63 out of Salem. They're a bunch of veterans, and they have, a lot of people have no idea like how much they actually help out a lot of people in Salem.
A ton. Yeah.
It's insane to me.
Yeah.
And, we meet one day a month, like every third Monday. But the problem with that is there's a lot of older guys in there. This, to me, is a prime example for getting veterans that come out a way to get together with other veterans that they can talk, like another avenue.
Yep.
And so now I'm trying to start to reach out to some of the other veterans and be like, hey, these guys are looking for like the young help. It's only one day a month.
Yeah.
Come out, it's an hour. And, one, you're helping people, which always will make you feel good.
Yep.
And 2, you're hanging out with some of the other guys, like, your age, once, the structure's built from like the beginning, like getting in, just come see what it's about.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're phenomenal.
Yep.
They got a great thing going on. The president never misses a day. The man's dealing with cancer right now. He's a trooper, never misses a day.
It's crazy.
Right out of chemo, he's coming right over. I'm like, Jesus, beast.
Yeah, I love that.
It's all about helping people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
well, I mean, any group like that, dude, is great. The networking is always huge. Having that just camaraderie and people around you that kind of have the same mission and same mind state is just something to be said for that, for anybody, yeah, man, the skate park thing's got me going.
I'm telling you, it's needed.
Yeah. How long you been working on that again?
It's probably going on 2 years now and change. It's probably this summer would be like 2.5. The big thing was, it's been 2.5 like this summer, but really it's only been like 1.5 because I spent a lot of time in the beginning looking up stuff, reading things, learning.
Right.
Like when I was contacting like Tony Hawk's Foundation, it was a lot of time spent on like dead end avenues where, you know, you're getting like beat up in the beginning. You're like, man, like how the heck am I going to raise $500,000?
Yeah.
Like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to find the time to do this? You know, now I'm on the news. I got to keep all these people happy, you know, and after this, I got to build a dog park and a boat launch and run for Congress.
Yeah.
But, you know, I do want to get it going, and I'm trying my damnedest. And, you know, I'm excited about starting the team, and like, that'll be a helpful situation.
Yeah. I think that's your starting point, man.
Because I can't tell them enough. Every time I talk to town, I'm like, this is something, it's one small step, but it's something that would help out a lot of people.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I think if you get that team together, it's going to help to kind of fire you up a little bit. It's going to get them excited about getting things going. But if you're going to do that, like, you just have to have that kind of plan. Like, this is what we want to do. You know, it's easy to say, this is the end goal. This is the end goal. This is what we want to do. But, you know, you also have to kind of give that step by step on what the plan is to get there. You know? That way everybody has a job, and like you can delegate some work and do that type of stuff, you know. Because
there's a lot of things too that were like, you know, things that were said like, you know, oh, then you get the bikers who want to be able to get in there and bike in the situation. And I'm like, well, the problem is now that we're gearing it towards, you know, the Olympic skateboarding, like, I don't know that that's going to be a situation that we can gear towards.
Right.
But so then we try to find an alternative. Around Hedgehog, there's a huge trail that could be cleared out, taken down, and we could do I don't know the specific name, but it's like the biking area with like the ramps and stuff.
Yeah.
And they'd have their own like little area to like get around, and like just like another thing to incorporate.
Yeah.
And not to say that we wouldn't be able to do that like on certain days there, but again, now that's still me trying to find like another initiative, because I don't want them to be left out as well. Like, you know, I know that everyone wants a little bit of something, but like, we all have to work towards it.
Yeah. The fact is, dude, you got to put your blinders on to the fucking boat ramps and the fucking dog park and
next
the
thing we're gonna have the blob in the middle of Hedgehog Pond. We're all jumping off and launching people.
Right. It's like, you know, yeah, that's something we could do, the bike park, but first we got to get the skate park up, you know, and then maybe once you get the skate park up and going, things are going well, then you talk about doing a bike path or doing something like that. But that's the thing, is like, you can't fucking please everybody.
I know.
And you can't do a million fucking things. It's got to be one objective, get the objective done, and then see where it goes from there.
Everyone sees how good it is and how it turns out. Then they're like, all right, yeah, like, let's get behind the next project. Let's go.
This is what we want to do now, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that, man. Yeah, keep me posted on that. I'm going to fucking turn my wheels on that a little bit, think who I can get involved. You know, again, as far as team goes, like, you need someone that's going to be like a go-getter. And I have a couple of people in mind, like definitely an event coordinator, someone who's organized events and that type of stuff is huge.
Yeah.
You know, and then working on that donor, you know, trying to find that one person that's willing to front up majority of the money.
Yeah.
Even if it's corporate. So what I learned actually this weekend, was that, because there's a lot of talk right now about all the cuts from like the federal cuts for like nonprofits and education, all these other things. And like a lot of people in nonprofits are super scared because they get federal dollars in order to operate. But what I actually found out is that yearly over $1 trillion is donated to nonprofits. Out of the trillions of dollars, only like 350 million comes from federal grant money. 580 something million dollars comes from private donors. Which I thought was interesting. I always thought it would be like most of the money comes from the feds, but it's not the case. Most of the money actually comes from private sponsors, private donors. And that's like statistics nationally, as far as like donations and stuff go. And then there's like other numbers, there's other ones that trickle down underneath the Fed. But like the largest nonprofit contributors are actually private donors.
That's really interesting. And it's funny because the backstory too about the skate park is it was actually my youngest brother who got the skate park put into Salem.
No shit.
So when he was younger, they were like rollerblading in, you know, pack areas like NOTB and stuff, like, you know, T-Bones.
I remember that.
And everyone was getting kicked out. Yeah. And, you know, they were like, why don't we get a park in Salem? and he was working for Chuck Morse at the time, Freshwater Farms in Atkinson. And he was like, listen, he's like, if you get enough signatures of people that want to get a park put in, then we'll help you get started. And him and his friends, they went around, like he hustled.
No shit.
And they got it started and they got the signatures, and that's how the skate park came to Salem.
Interesting.
And it was nice because Wyndham had some stuff that they actually donated, which I didn't know. NOTB actually made a big donation at the time to put some stuff in there. And that's another reason why it was like so close to me, because like it was like a family thing that he had started, and just how much it helped them when they were growing up.
Right.
And how easily, or even how much more so now with like the trend of things going on, could help everybody.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think that, again, man, I feel like finding that donor, finding those people to donate the money would not be easy, but I feel like you could find that person that believes in what you're trying to do.
Yeah,
But
I think I got to get back on the news and like just put the story out there again, because it is good too when you rehear it, because it's just a good story.
yeah,
I mean, and how much people need help, because we haven't found, again, that solution that we need.
Right.
And this is at least a step in that direction.
yeah. Well, and there's not one solution.
Exactly. That's
there's
true.
multiple solutions for everybody's issues.
Yeah.
We'll call them. So, and I think that's a big one, man. That
Yeah.
skating world is like a big thing, and that's, where you can find a lot of kids that are just, it's the kids that like aren't playing fucking baseball, the kids that don't want to play basketball, the kids that aren't athletes or football players. Like those kids get into that world and that realm, and like giving those kids a place to be able to go and do that, like does a lot, man. It puts them around other kids that are like-minded.
Yeah.
Gives them just something constructive to do and get good at. And now, like you said, with it being in the Olympics, it gives them something to strive for if they want to go that route,
Yeah. One of the things I heard from one of the town members at one time was, well, we got gyms all over Salem. I'm like, yeah, but that's a little bit different. I mean, that's not, if they're trying to go that route, but like, you're not bodybuilding if you want to be on a board. I mean,
Right.
it's different. This is a cardio workout with a goal to chase.
Right.
You'll get those here and there, and like this excuse or that excuse, but I enjoyed fielding those off. Oh, gym, that's a solution.
Yeah. Because those kids that want to skate are definitely going to be the ones going to a fucking gym.
They might as well work at one of the 18 mattress stores or the hookah spots that we got.
Right. No doubt, man. All right, let's get into toolbox tips. Kind of tie things up a little bit. Toolbox tips is just kind of part of the Mangia, part of what we do with the podcast to kind of give everybody an idea of like some good practical advice that you would give yourself fucking 20 years ago. What is that like one piece of advice that you would tell yourself, knowing what you know now, say before you jumped into the military or kind of when you graduated high school, like, what would you give them for advice?
I think a real big one for me, and there's a couple, but like a real big one would be understanding credit score. I feel like that, on top of like what we talked about earlier, is just like another one that's not really taught to you. Like they say, oh, everyone's like, oh yeah, have good credit, but like these are the type of things like business wise and like things that like, gearing towards like helping you succeed in life. Like these are the most helpful types of things. If someone had given me a book that was really good on like that type of stuff, and I had taken the time to read it, I would have been mind blown. I remember reading a book, a couple of years ago. It's called Know Your Score. And I was thinking, I'm like, there's no way. I hate reading. I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to stay up with this thing. I'm going to fall asleep every 2 pages. I couldn't put that book down.
No shit.
And it was just so many things that were so knowledgeable that I didn't even know.
Interesting.
Things that help you and things that affect you. And I mean, it was so good that I was taking down notes and writing in a notepad. And I never did that even in school.
Right.
So that's the type of stuff, like things that you don't know, that it's showing you what's helpful to make money and, help you grabbing things later on in life. Like that's a big one. If I would take 2 things, it would be learning about that and learning about taxes and understanding everything that's going to help you succeed and make money. The work ethic is another good one to know, but like you can get that a little bit easier. It's forcing yourself to do things that you're not going to like or enjoy. I knew I wasn't going to like reading. I tried it anyways because I'm just trying to better myself, and that paid off exponentially.
Yeah.
After my accident, I was out of work for 8 months. Hospitals, furniture stores. No one gives a fuck about your accident.
Truth.
They gave me 2 months. I'm like, the doctor told me I can't work for 8. I have a sheet that says I can't work for 8 months. And you're telling me I have 2 months and I got to figure it all out after that?
It's crazy.
Like, that's wild.
Yeah.
My credit got shredded after that. And that book was so interesting, helped me change everything around.
What'd you say? Know your score?
Know your score.
You know who the author was?
I don't remember the author by name, but I'll give it to you.
Interesting.
Yeah, and you
Always
can put it out
looking.
because I'm telling you, I was shocked.
Huh. Always interested in those types of books. Tor Larson gave me one. So he does signs too. You must know Tor.
That sounds really familiar.
Signs East.
I've heard the company,
He's
but
out
I
of
don't know them
Kingston.
personally.
Yeah, so Tor's a good dude. You'd like him. He gave me another one on tax stuff that was awesome. I forget the name of it, but yeah, it was. Those books are really hard for me to pay attention to. I have a hard time reading print, anyways.
Yeah.
I've never been able to like sit, read a book, retain print, and then apply print. Like
Same.
I've always had a disconnect there. So like when you start talking about like these business books and like credit scores and accounting and taxes, I'm always like, oh, I'm never going to be able to read that. But he gave me that book. I picked it up not too long ago, and same thing. Like I'm like in the morning trying to get pages done so I can get to work. You
Yeah.
know? It's like it's a good one.
And the audio helps. The audiobooks help as well because, driving spot to spot,
Yeah.
I kind of pick it up. The other one I read that was outstanding was David Goggins' book.
Yeah, awesome book.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Like, when you think you can't do it or it can't be done, like, it's just a mindset. It's tough to get it going, but once you get started, it's like ripping a Band-Aid off.
Yep.
Starting out, no matter what you do, if you're back to the gym after a first time a couple of years, it sucks.
Yep.
After that first 2 weeks, it's back to repetition. It's easy
Just
after
routine.
that.
Yeah.
That's all it takes. Anything you're starting, it's going to suck in the beginning.
Yeah.
But not for long, because after that, all repetition.
Yeah. Yeah. It just turns into routine. Like at this point, I don't even know what the fuck I would do if I wasn't going to the gym every day.
Seriously.
You know what I mean? It's like just part of my routine.
Yep.
It's like brushing my teeth in the morning.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, Goggins is a good book. One of my favorite books, I tell everybody all the time, called Buying Back Your Time by Dan Martell.
Haven't heard of that one.
Fucking awesome book, dude.
Definitely
awesome,
check that out.
Awesome business book. I suggest it on a regular basis. Actually, Mark Collier, one of my contractor buddies, he's been on twice. He just started reading it. He sent me a picture of it the other day. He's like 100 pages in, man. I should have started this a lot sooner.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, it's an awesome business book. But yeah, dude, audiobooks, thousands and thousands of hours of audiobooks.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that I found Audible.
Big game changer.
Huge game changer for me because, like, again, print is hard for me, and I'm always on the go, man. I'm fucking everywhere
That's
all
the
the
thing.
time.
When you're tired, it doesn't matter how into a book are. You're drifting.
Yep.
And at least while you're on the move and you get the audio,
Yep.
it's an easy solution.
Yeah, I know. I barely listen to music anymore, which is crazy because I used to be all about music, but now it's just always audiobooks or podcasts.
Yeah, me talking to the old me, it would have been learn things you don't know.
Yeah.
Things that seem like they're not of importance, but you know that they're important. Listen to it.
Yeah.
Read it, listen to it, do what you got to do. Like, don't be afraid to learn something new.
Yeah, for sure. Education's huge, man.
It is.
For sure. Cool. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on, brother. It's good catching up. Good to hear about this stuff. And that's we'll probably link up at some point after this. I'm gonna kind of think a little bit about the skate park thing. See who I can put you in touch with.
Oh, most definitely.
Definitely have a large network of people, and I think some people would be willing to help. So
Hell yeah.
we'll make those connections.
Absolute.
Cool. All right, man. Well, thanks for listening, everybody.